All right, I think we are live, right? Yep, we're live. Welcome, everyone, to the official Tailos virtual training session here. This is going to be a live session. So, as you're joining in, please feel free to go into the chat channel, type up some questions, introduce yourself, say hi, let us know where you're coming from. We're super excited to have hosting this super awesome virtual training session here. Um, we're going to go over the robot today. So we're going to give everybody a few minutes, a couple seconds. We have eight people joining us here today. Fantastic. Yeah, I think we might have everyone already here. Great. So again, everybody, welcome to the Tailos virtual training session here. My name is Humberto. I'm the Senior Customer Success Manager here at Tailos. I'm going to be hosting this training here today. I'm going to be walking you through every step that you need to know about Rosie, the anatomy, the best practices, servicing the robot, everything you need to know. You're going to become robot experts after today. So thank you so much for joining. And as a reminder, there is a chat channel as we're going through this presentation, this training session. I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, what this means. I'm going to demonstrate what I'm doing and the procedures. And then I'm going to ask you to also go ahead and participate along with me, all right? So great. And then, yeah, there's a chat channel. Feel free to ask questions throughout this presentation. We'll take some of the questions here as we go along. And in case we can't answer all the questions, we'll reserve some for towards the end of the training session. So highly encourage some participation here on your end. And again, let us know where you're coming from. Super happy to have everyone joining us. We're going to jump right in. So let's talk about the anatomy of the robot. And let's see. So right here, we have Rosie by Tailos. This is your new vacuum assistant that's going to help optimize your labor, your routine, your daily routine into the hallways, public areas. So let's see. So power. I'm going to go ahead and power on Rosie here, just in the meantime. But we have, talking about the anatomy, we have the front of Rosie. This is the camera, 3D camera sensor. Very important part you should know, become very familiar with, is the LiDAR sensor here on top of the vacuum robot. In hindsight, if you don't know what a LiDAR sensor is, it is a very cool sensor that shoots out lasers and creates a map for itself. That's how it's able to self-navigate around very cool, expansive hallways. Awesome. Now, looking at the back of the robot, we have the battery compartment. Looking under here, we have the optical lights. And even taking a closer look here, we have the roller and the wheels. These are mecanum wheels. They're omnidirectional. So this is what helps the robot move in very intricate angles. It's able to swirl and rotate, and that's what helps with some of the edge cleaning. Great. And then last but not least, we have the screen here. You're going to become very familiar here with the screen. This is the play screen. This is a touch screen you're able to utilize to command the robot to start your cleaning sessions. Oh yeah, totally forgot. We have the lid latch and the lid compartment in here. This is where all the dull, dirty, and dangerous gets sucked into. And we'll go more into detail about that. Great. Next. So this next part, we're going to ask for some participation here. Do we have David there? Great. Awesome. So as a reminder, feel free to ask any questions as we're going through this process. This is going to be a very straightforward procedure. So let me go ahead and demonstrate. Let me go ahead and tell you and then demonstrate. So when you handle the robot, you always want to handle the robot from the sides. We have here what we call the side handles, right? So always handle the robot from the side. I prefer to have the caboose of the robot, the back of the robot, facing me, Totally up to you how you prefer to carry the robot, but this is my recommendation. And also, anytime you're going to pick up or put down the robot on the floor, always practice safe picking up and putting down procedures. Use your knees. Try your best to avoid using just your back. So use your knees, place the robot down, and then pick it up. All right. Uh, can we go ahead and show me some safe picking up procedures? Who wants to participate there? Do we have a participant there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, we have David.
David, thank you so much. Cool. Fantastic. Excellent. And if you're watching this live and you have your robots in front of you, please participate. I want you to be very interactive. Have your team be very hands-on with the robot. Thank you so much, David. You can go ahead and pick up the robot back up, put it back on the table. Great. So yeah, very important that your team feels confident to handle the robot. Don't be afraid to break it or anything. Put your hands right on it. Never carry the robot from the front or the back. This could cause some slippage from your hands, and then you can accidentally try to pick it up, and then it slips out. The battery compartment slips out. So try your best not to handle the robot from any other angle other than the side handles. Great. And I want to take a quick moment here, remind everybody this is a live video, so feel free to tap in the chat if you have any questions so far. Great. And then we do have some fantastic people here also working with us to demonstrate and participate, really showcase some of the best practices here as I'm walking you through this. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and let everybody know in case they missed out? Let's see, David.
How you doing? This is David Johnson, Food and Beverage Manager at the Atlanta Marriott Peachtree Corners.
Awesome. And then we have our fantastic tech handling the camera at the location. It is?
I wouldn't call myself a tech, but this is Raphael, the General Manager at the Marriott Peachtree Corners.
Cool. Raphael and David, thank you so much. Huge shout out to them for helping host this training session. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next steps here. We're going to talk more knowledge base here. This is very important for you to know. We're going to talk about the inside of the robot. I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer to myself. Great. All right. Let's get right in there. So let's talk about the lid latch. This blue handle that you have here in front of the robot, very, very important for you to know. So pay very close attention, everyone. Anytime you handle the blue lid latch handle, make sure you pull it all the way up and you lift it up. There you go. Follow along. Great. Use one hand to handle the lid of the robot and the other hand to handle the inside of the robot, okay? So as you can see in the camera, we have the bag. That's where the bag is stored. And the next thing, I want everybody to participate. So please watch and listen. When you remove the bag, the best practice for this is pulling it straight up. You're going to notice there's some hinges here and there's some screws inside of the robot. The screws go inside of these hinges. That's how the robot is able to, or the bag is able to connect to the robot. So great. Everybody, please participate during this. Just take a quick second to get yourself familiar with the inside. Go ahead and place the bag, the dust bag, back into the robot. And just a reminder, I encourage anybody to ask any questions during this procedure. Now, very important, so this lid latch handle, make sure anytime you handle it, it's always up. Never try to, in case for whatever reason, if your lid latch handle accidentally comes loose, or maybe you're a little nervous to handle the robot and you notice that the lid latch is not all the way up, you'll notice that it doesn't close. It's not like your car door, so don't force it closed. That could damage some of the plastic components here. So go ahead and make sure that the blue lid latch is always up. So If you're a leader, you're a supervisor, a GM, or the person in charge of training your team, please make sure that they know this very important part of handling the robot. It's the blue lid latch handle. Make sure it's always up. Encourage them to feel confident in handling the robot. It can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but put your hands right on it. It's yours. It's your vacuum assistant. Feel free to give it any name that you want. Great. And then, of course, for closing the robot, just let it drop. Great. So I hope you've been following along, and I'll give you a couple seconds here for any last-minute participants who are handling the lid latch, using one hand to handle the lid and the other hand to access the inside of the robot compartment. We have a question here coming in. How do I know when the bag is full? That is a fantastic question. So now that you're an expert in how to handle the robot lid and the lid latch and the bag, let's talk about best practices. So when the bag is full, it's going to feel like a pillow. So if your bag is ever full, you're going to notice it's really puffy. The standard that you want your team to learn on a daily basis, go ahead and before you take off to your shift, before you take off with your robot to start your day, check the bag. So the standard is check the bag at the beginning of each shift. You want to ensure that your team starts off with empty, not so full bag. So if your bag feels somewhat getting there, totally okay, continue using it. But if your bag feels really full, it's time to change it out, okay? Fantastic question. Feel free to ask more questions as we're moving along here. All right. The hinges go in the screws. Perfect. Let it drop, and it closes. Awesome. Great. Now, the other thing that, and I want you to follow along with me for this one, and I want everybody to get very familiar, is the battery. So with the battery, you have the back of the robot. This is where the battery compartment is located. This is where the robot gets its power from. The best practice for this is pulling the battery straight up. That is the secret or the key to removing the battery. Feel free to use your other hand like this if you want to get some leverage there to pull the battery off. Do not be afraid. Pull it with some confidence there. You're going to get used to this. It's going to become second nature to you. Awesome. Great. And then in case you don't have your charging station there with you, remember, each robot comes with a set of 3 batteries, right? So at the end of each shift, make sure that you place your robot batteries back to charge. If it's blinking like this, you see this white light blinking, this indicates that it's charging. It's still charging. If you notice that this white light is a solid white light, this indicates that it's a fully charged battery and it's ready to be used. Let's say you place the battery back to charge and it's like this. You see, you can't really tell here, but it's a green light. So if it's a green light, it's on the charging station. You want to make sure you push it all the way in. All right. There you go. You see, this one is a fully charged battery. So if you see any other lights other than white, that means it's not placed correctly on the charging station. So keep that in mind. With that being said, let's go ahead. Everybody, if you're following along with me, you just removed the battery. We talked about placing the battery in the charging station, removing the battery from the charging station and from the robot. Go ahead and place the battery back into the robot. In case your robot is not immediately powering on, you didn't hear a beep or anything, you want to make sure there is a power switch to the robot. Make sure your power switch is on. There it is. It's going to be located behind towards the back of the robot. Great. So let's talk about the powering on process. You'll see these optical lights here behind the robot. So that is a good sign that the robot is in the process of powering on, right? So give it time. It's firing up all these sophisticated sensors, so it is going to take about a minute or two or so to power up. It's just like your computer, just like your phone. It's going to take a little bit of a minute or so for it to power up. So give it some time. So long as you see these backlights activated, that's a good sign that it's in the process of powering up. And at some point, you'll see your screen power on, pop up. There you go. So we have an incoming question here. Let's see. How long do batteries take to charge? Fantastic question. Batteries, dependent on the amount of charge it has left in the at the end of the day, it can take anywhere between 4 to 6 hours to fully charge. Fantastic question. Great. So, all right. And then how can I leave the robot powered on without the battery, or do I need to turn it off every time? Let's see. So we have another question there. Can I leave the robot powered on without the battery, or do I need to turn it off every time? So I think you're referring to is the power switch, right? So you can leave the power switch on at all times. There's no need to power it off, actually. Some of the pro tips that I've seen hotels come up with, or end users, people who are using their robot vacuums daily, there's absolute no need to power the switch off on the robot. You can leave the power switch on at all times and replace batteries as needed. You can pop it off and back on as needed throughout your routine in the day. Great. Now, when is the best time to replace the battery is one of the other common questions that we usually get. So the best time to replace the battery on the robot is when your robot displays it's time to replace battery. You'll be presented with an alert from the robot. It will let you know that it's time to replace the battery. That would be the best time. I recommend switching out the battery to a fully charged battery if you need to continue with your operations for the day. Awesome. Great. And again, as a reminder, if you're just joining us right now, this is a live virtual training session. Feel free to access the chat channel to ask us any questions as we're going through this training presentation. All right. Raphael, David, how are we doing over there?
We are navigating.
All right. Great. Now, powering on the robot, we just talked about. Now, when your robot is fully powered on, you've probably noticed by now that you're presented with a play screen, a play button, and then a smaller button that says spot. So do not touch the screen yet, especially if your robot is on the table. Let's stop there. So for this part, I would encourage you to listen, and then I'll demonstrate what you need to do, and then I may ask you to go ahead and participate. So now, I want to talk about what the big play button means. So this is going to be a good mix of best practice too. The big play button signifies you're commanding the robot to clean as much space as possible. So best practices, especially starting off, setting a routine with your team, is starting off into the hallways, ensuring they are in an enclosed space, making sure those fire doors are closed. If there are any guest rooms, you leave them creaks just enough to avoid the robot from trying to sneak into any guest rooms. Any areas you don't want the robot to go into, you set up some a barrier, close the door, whatever you have at your disposal. That would be the best practice. Because keep in mind, Rosie wants to help out as much as possible. So whatever areas Rosie by Tailos is able to get into, Rosie will try to get into. So hallways, it's perfect. It's an enclosed space. So when you press the big play button, the best practice here is that you start the robot near a wall, about 3 to 4 inches near the wall. You always want to start it near the wall, okay? So Let's go ahead and have some participation there. Rafael, David, let's practice safe picking up procedures. Grab the robot as we trained. Let's go ahead and take the robot and place it to the nearest wall. So my wall is right here. Go ahead and set the robot down near the wall. And now I recommend setting the robot near the wall, probably on its side. But that's perfectly okay, so long as it's kind of near the wall. So the reason we want to start the robot near the wall is whenever the robot is finished with its cleaning cycle, it's going to do its best to return back home to the starting point. So let's imagine that this is a hallway. We don't want to start the robot in the middle of the hallway. We want to start it on the side, so that way when the robot is finished vacuuming, it can go ahead and return home and be out of the way of foot traffic. All right, so that is the best practice for starting your robot in the hallways. Keep in mind where it's going to return home. Fantastic. So in case you press play ahead of time, go ahead and pause the robot. I'm going to ask you to press play just momentarily. Count for 5 seconds. I want to hear the robots activate. I want you to feel confident to handle the robot. Just after 5 seconds of the robot taking off, make sure the robot's on the floor and it's in a space or you feel comfortable launching the robot. Just take 5 seconds to hear that vacuum rev up, see the robot in action, and then press pause on the robot and then stop. And then we can go ahead and move to the next procedure here. There you go. Awesome. So you press, play, walk away. Great. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Thank you so much for that participation. So when you pause the robot, you may be presented with a stop option. Go ahead and stop the robot. This indicates and tells the robot to completely stop the cycle that it just started. So that's what makes this robot very versatile. Anytime you press play in a new area, the robot is able to adapt and analyze its environment. There's no need to do any pre-mapping whatsoever. The robot does it every time you launch it. Great. Awesome. Thank you for the questions here. We have some questions coming in. Let's see. What if it does go into another room and we can't find it? Is there a tracker? So we currently don't offer trackers ourselves, but what we've seen hotels do, and this is something that you can do as well, is if you're familiar with what an Apple AirTag is, an Apple AirTag is a way that it's a very common product from Apple that allows you to track your items like keys, backpacks, anything that you find useful. In this scenario, the robot, you're able to install one of the AirTags into the robot. And that can help with some of your concerns regarding tracking. So that's totally an option that you can do. Totally worth the investment. Awesome. Great. And let's move on to the next part. Thank you so much, Rafael and David. Fantastic. Great. Now that we're all familiar with what a play button means, actually, I want to get some action in the chat. Can we get some thumbs up from every location? Are we feeling confident so far handling the robot, accessing the inside of the robot, pressing play, where to place the robot in the hallway? Can we get some thumbs up or like all good, some cool comments coming in the chat? I see we have 12 viewers here. All right. Awesome. Great. Now, the next thing we want to touch base on is what the other button means. So this is a very useful feature that you can utilize at your discretion. It's available for you anytime that you find it useful. So this is what we call the spot cleaning button. So if you want to go ahead Raphael, get really close into the screen there. Yeah, let's show the public what the play button and the spot cleaning buttons are located. It's right there on the screen. Thank you so much, Eric, Richard. The thumbs up there. Appreciate it. All right, so yeah, we have the spot button right there. Thank you so much. You can back up now. Now, what the spot button does, it um, um, you're commanding the robot to clean in a 6x6 area. So if there's a small mess or a small touch-up area that you need your vacuum robot to assist with, this is helpful for if you happen to have your robot in the lobby area or you're walking down the hallway and it just needs that very specific area, a small area for it to vacuum. You place the robot right in the middle of that mess. It will then create a 6x6 perimeter from that middle point, and it'll take up to 3 minutes to clean the inside of that space. So it's a very neat feature. That's why we call it spot clean. Awesome. Any questions thus far? All right. Fantastic question. So we have a question coming in here. How do I know when the robot is done cleaning? So the robot, whenever you press play or the spot clean, but let's focus on play. And you'll see this, and it's going to become second nature to you as you're navigating and using the robot. So when you press play, the robot's going to take off, analyze as much of the environment as it's able to. It's then going to analyze how much it's able to actually cover in that space. So once the robot, with the amount of battery it has allocated, once it's done analyzing its environment along with the amount of battery it has, it will then complete that area that it calculated being able to cover. And after it's done with the amount of battery that it has, it will then start coming back home. And then once it returns home, you'll be presented with a screen. So this screen we're going to touch base on very soon. So that is a fantastic question. So this screen is what we call a rating screen. Let's see. I see some questions coming in here. I'll answer those here shortly. I still want to make sure we cover this topic about the screen. So at the end of the run, you'll be presented what we call a rating screen. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Raphael and David, we may put you aside here for a second. So at the end of each cleaning cycle, you're going to see a rating screen. So if you move on to the next slide, yeah. So this is what you're going to see most likely here is a thumbs up or a thumbs down option. So you as the end user, as the person handling the person taking advantage of this vacuum assistant, you can give the robot a rating, see how it did. You can give it a thumbs up and then add some extra feedback. So there's some buttons in the bottom. So you can tap on clean, you can tap on easy, you can tap on happy guest, you can tap if it was quick. Whatever you really loved about the robot and that cleaning cycle, you can give us a rating. We track these, we see these on our end. It makes us happy. We see a lot of them on a daily basis, so we're always stoked and excited to see that every start of our morning. But if you give us a thumbs down, keep in mind, if you do give it a thumbs down, please make sure that you note it down somewhere. Keep in mind, make a mental note of what caused that experience. We may reach out. Your assigned customer success manager, specialist, or senior customer success manager will reach out to you and ask for some feedback. What might be going on? Is there some challenges? So that's why we're here, to guide you every step of the way. You can provide us even further insight. If you do give us a thumbs down, you can say, hey, it missed some debris. Let's chat about it. Was it slow? How so? Was it because of poor battery? We want to make sure we're charging the batteries, right? Poor driving, whatever that experience might be. Please reach out to us, or we'll reach out to you. Great, fantastic question. So now, what's going to happen when you tap on one of the rating screen, one of the rating buttons? So you're going to have about 5 seconds to give us a quick rating. So a little bit of pressure there. So if you give us a thumbs up, pick whatever other insights you want to give us. If you don't feel comfortable giving us any ratings whatsoever, you can just tap X. But we do appreciate when you give us a rating. So keep that in mind, all right? Let's go ahead and talk about some of the best practices here next. The next thing we're going to discuss is prepping the space. And I'm going to go ahead and let's look at the chat. Raphael, David, thank you for your patience there. We'll add you back on here shortly. Let's look at some of the questions. Let's see. Yeah, how does it do if there is water on the carpet? So not too much to worry about. If the carpet is damp, the robot can glide over it just fine. Nothing to be concerned about. The only instances that I would worry about any sort of water is if it is a hard floor and there is a very obvious puddle. We definitely want to not launch the robot near that area. So keep that in mind. We don't want to launch the robot in an area that is like harder floor and very obvious water there, like a puddle. But if it's just carpet and it's damp and or a little wet, that's perfectly fine. Fantastic question. We have time for another question here. What do we do when we receive a defective battery? Fantastic. So keep in mind, when you're working with us, Tailos, you do have options. If your product is leased with us, it is covered. So it's just a matter of reaching out to our support team, or you can reach out to your customer success manager like myself. Let us know that, hey, I'm experiencing an issue with a battery. A battery seems to be defective. We'll ask you a few questions. Hey, like what is it doing? Some behavior or whatever. And then we'll analyze that and we'll work with you. We'll get that replaced for you. So not to worry. It will be covered in the lease if there is any sort of defects. So not to worry. There's no additional cost in that sense. Great. Let's go ahead and move on here. We want to talk about best practices, and this is one of my favorites, what we like to call prepping the space. So let's see. When you have Rosie in the hallway, you want to go ahead and just quickly analyze the environment, laser target any large debris items, okay? So any items that a regular vacuum can't pick up, Rosie by Tailos, the vacuum won't be able to pick up either, okay? So we're talking about large items here. We're talking about bottle caps. We're talking about large nutshells here. So keep in mind, if the robot does glide over that, it can cause a little bit of cloggage, or it might suck it up and then spit it out. So keep in mind, in those instances, let's do what we call prep the space. As you launch the robot in the hallway, laser target those large debris items, pick them up, sweep them up, pick them up with your hand, toss it in the trash. It'll take a couple seconds there, but that will set up your robot for success, and you'll be able to reallocate that time to focus on more important tasks around your hotel. Awesome. And as we discussed, just a reminder, this is a live video, so if you're just joining us, keep in mind you can ask us questions. Feel free to go access the chat somewhere there. Access the chat, send us questions, give us thumbs up. Let us know if you're enjoying the training session here. I'm really hoping we're feeling energized. We're going to soon here touch base on handling the robot a little bit more. We're going to get a little bit more hands-on here soon. Awesome. So after prepping the space, let's see. All right. I do want to talk a little bit more about, let's see, some of the screens you might see. And let's go ahead and pull up some of the screens here. So aside from the play button, and I want to touch base on this very, very clearly. The error screen that has the number on it, that is our support number. This is something you will rarely see ever And if you do ever see this screen, it might more than likely be a bug. We're tracking this. We're trying to get this solved. If you do see this, just simply power cycle the robot. Turn it off and on. Turn it off and on solves 90% of all issues almost. So power cycle the robot. If you ever see the screen, it's very rare that you'll see it, but don't be afraid. More than likely, nothing is wrong. But if you power cycle the robot and you still see the screen, that might be a good indicator that there might be something wrong with the bot. So if there's, if you accidentally drop the robot or something, some sort of damage might be kind of obvious to the robot, please let us know. We'll work with you there. Not to worry. Don't be afraid to reach out to us for any help, like in that sense. And then the other screen that you'll see is clean the roller. So if there is any item that gets lodged for a prolonged amount of time in the roller, you'll more than likely receive, if you have access to Wi-Fi across your property, a text notification from the robot letting you know that something got caught in the roller. So 90% of the time that item gets dislodged, so no need to worry or immediately check the robot. I'll recommend checking towards the end, and if there is something really stuck there. But let's go ahead, and this is something I want everybody to participate in real quick. Go ahead and grab your robot. Have your robot with you. There you go. Fantastic, David. Thank you for demonstrating safe picking up procedures. Let's go back to the table. Great. So let's say this is what we like to call maintenance on the go. Let's say that you're presented with that clean the roller screen, and the robot something got caught in the roller. The easiest fix, more than likely, that you have to do, set the robot on its side, right? When you set the robot on its side, it's going to expose the roller, or the beater bar, as we like to call it in the hospitality industry. Simply spin it forward a little bit, spin it backwards, and 90% of the time, that's going to cause the item to just simply fall out. After that item comes right out, that 90% of the time, that fixes the issue. Set the robot back down, press X on the error screen, and then you're good to go. So super easy, right? It's very simple. So let's go back to the screens again. Cool, I think we have a few more screens to review. Great. And any questions thus far? Remember, this is a live webinar, virtual training session. So there is a live chat. Feel free to ask us questions as we're going through this presentation. Let's see. Great. No, nothing so far. Great. Now, I want everybody to take a moment, look at this screen, take your phones out, take a picture of this. Save this contact to your phone, please. This is our support contact information. So for anything technical, any technical help that you need with the robot, please reach out to our support team. There are very responsive. There are front lines for anything technical. You do also have us as a resource if you ever need any help of any instance. But in that, so our support team they are available from 9 to 5 p.m. Central Time. Just a heads up there. Monday through Friday. All right, do we have any more screens here? Great. Awesome, and I think we covered how to check the bag. Can we get a thumbs up, everybody? Are we all familiar with how often we should change the bag? If not, let me tell you. So, how often should you change the bag? So starting off on a brand new property, it's very common to change the bags out a little bit more frequently at the beginning because the robot is covering about 90% of its environment. All right, and the other person is accounting for obstacles, static furniture, moving objects, people. Very common stuff. So the robot is, every time you launch the robot into the hallway, it's providing that deep clean. It's getting deep into those carpet fibers, picking up years, months of dust or debris. dangerous stuff that's embedded into the carpet. So it's very common for the first couple of days, the first few weeks of using your robot consistently in the hallways. As you're building out your routine at deploying your robots, you will change out the bags ever so often. So that's why it is best practice to check your bag at the beginning of each shift. All right, and that will ensure you can complete a full clean. Great. Awesome. Just a reminder for anybody who's arriving late. If you've been here, and you know the answer to this question. Please give us a thumbs up, or just type in thumbs up in case you don't have access to emoticons or the emojis. When should you change the battery? You should start each shift with a fully charged battery and replace the battery whenever you see a replace the screen battery. All right. All right. In the chat, I want some participation here. Or actually, no, Rafael or David, I'm going to put you here in the spot. I'm going to have you answer this question, okay? Where do I place the robot when starting a run?
Close to the wall.
Uh-huh. How far off the wall?
About 6 inches from the wall.
Almost. So we want to get it pretty close to the wall, somewhere between 3 to 4 inches. But yeah, that is good. That is good. Great. Awesome. Next question. Where do I place the robot when using Spot Clean? All right. David, do you remember this one? Actually, Rafael, do you remember Spot Clean? How does Spot Clean work?
Center of the area, and it's a 6x6 area.
That's right. If you see a small mess there or an area that needs a little bit of a touch-up, place the robot right in the middle of the mess, press Spot Clean. It'll clean in a 6x6 area, and it'll take up to 3 minutes to finish that cycle. Thank you. Great. Awesome. Any other questions here that we have? What happens when I tap on the rating screen? Yeah, we had this question come in earlier. So if you're just joining us, at the end of each cleaning cycle, you're going to see the robot present you with a screen. It allows you the opportunity to give it a rating. So when you tap on one of the ratings is a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you'll be presented with a few more options that you can select, whether you liked the way it cleaned, you liked how fast it was, did you hear any guest compliments throughout the cleaning cycle, which is very common to hear. You're going to think it's very sophisticated to have a robot at a hotel. It just really elevates the elegance of the hotel. So so I've heard from guests. Now, and then, of course, you have approximately 5 seconds when you give that rating screen. It will close out automatically, or if you want to be a little bit faster, you can just tap X after giving the rating, or just don't give a rating at all. Just press X and move on. So totally up to you. All right. Any more questions there? Cool. Any questions in the chat coming in? Let's check. All right. Great. Awesome. Let's see. What do we got next going on? Let's see. Great. I think this is essentially this concludes the main components of best practices training, handling the robot, getting familiar, having your hands on the robot, best practices in the hallway. This concludes the training session, the information that you need to know for the end users. So if you're a houseman or you're a supervisor, a housekeeper or in charge of deploying the robot, you should be robot experts today. If you feel that you have some other pending questions, please, you can always still reach out to us even after this virtual training session. Let's see. Give me a moment here. Let's see. Great. Let's see. Great. Okay. Okay, cool. I was just making sure we don't have any technical difficulties. So yeah. All right. For the 12 participants that we have here viewing, let us know where you're coming from, please. Are we feeling confident about what the training that you witnessed today? Are we feeling confident in launching Rosie today out into the hallways? Let's get Rosie out there today, okay? Let's get maximize your time here, maximize your usage of the robot. Let's go ahead and deploy Rosie into your hallway floors today. Let's get that going. For everybody that's still here, just a reminder, or if you haven't heard yet, we are going to host another training session. But the training session is for maintenance. Great. Awesome. We have Austin Marriott North. Thank you so much for joining us. Marriott Burr Ridge. Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Reminder, everybody, there's going to be another training. We're going to host another training session covering the maintenance components of the robot. In the meantime, we may send you some cool materials in the time that you can review at your own leisure. But keep in mind, you want to set a routine for maintenance. And just like any tool that you have at the property, any tool that you utilize in a commercial setting, there is some level of service, maintenance that you need to do on the robot, and we'll cover all of that sometime next week. We'll keep you posted. So great. Awesome. Any final questions before we end our stream here today? We'll give everybody a quick moment to type in any last questions there in the chat. Great. Again, my name is Humberto, the Senior Customer Success Manager here at Tailos. Thank you so much for joining us here today in this awesome virtual training session. Thank you. Shout out to Rafael and David for helping us demonstrate and participate here of the robot, showing how easy it is to handle the robot. Let's get your robots out today into the hallways. Shout out to what was the name? Chicago, right? And Morgan, I think you're familiar with the name.
Chicago at Burr Ridge.
Chicago
Thank you so
at Burr
much.
Ridge.
You were the first to fully set up your robots with Wi-Fi, so we wanted to shout you out as well.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. We're going to go ahead and end the stream here, and we'll follow up soon. Thank you.